thought so.
Ready? You ready? Good evening. If we could please stand for the prayer, for those of you who are able, and Alderwoman Gould will lead us.
Almighty God, we ask for your blessing upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings and keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of your community. Amen.
And Mr. Nash, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So welcome all to our council meeting for August 21st. The first part of our meeting tonight is what we refer to as open topic. You are welcome to speak on areas of concern in the city that are not on the agenda. There will be time and citizen comment on agenda items. Again, I would ask that you state your name and address. If you are speaking on something that is, and you do not live in the city but you work in the city, please give us both addresses, your home address as well as your city workplace. And please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We have some people who signed up, and the first is Joe DeLucia.
Good evening, thank you. I would like to speak about the article in the Norwich Bulletin this week regarding a proposed plan to develop a separate fire tax districts within the city.
Sir, could you give your name and address, please?
I'm sorry. Joseph DeLucia, 37 Sherwood Lane, Norwich. Thank you, Mayor. First, let me say that this is not an issue about the value of the career and volunteer fire departments. They are the invaluable fire service complex that keeps us safe and rallies to our side in our times of greatest need. The men and women who serve our fire department are heroes of this community. My objection is to the idea of this plan, and my objections are threefold. First, I believe that anything that divides the city weakens the community, especially when it involves the levy of taxes by any group that is not directly elected by the voters. Two, I believe that this concept will only add another layer to city government, which on its face will be more bureaucratic, less efficient, and less effective. And three, I believe that the City Council would be shirking its fiscal duties under the Charter by endorsing this plan. I challenge the current and all future councils to step into their authority and their responsibility to budget and fund fire protection in collaboration with all 6 departments, instead of looking for ways to avoid this difficult yet important task. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Rodney Bowie?
Good evening. Rodney Bowie, 62 Roosevelt Avenue. First, I'd like to commend the council for the amount of effort you guys have put in this year on a budget, and the amount of flack you've taken because you actually did a budget. It hasn't been easy, but this is the first time in my memory that we haven't had 3, 4, or 5% increase in our budget. So, having said that, past councils, and I know future councils, are going to look at the way we do business. And we've been doing business this way ever since I can remember. Asked the former treasurer, said this before, why you do it this way? He says it works. But we make a budget, then we turn around and we've got all these other items that come up. 300,000, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 6 million. Quite frankly, this town is a loan shark's dream. You never pay off your balance. You just pay the interest. I did that for years. I ran one of these things. My people never paid off their balance. At the end of a whole year's time, the guys owed the same amount of money that they started out with at the beginning of the year. And this is what we've been doing. We went from 35 million in indebtedness to up to 50 million right now. And the way I see it going down the road, we're going to have about 55 million before we're done this year. Now, the citizens of this town sort of expect your guidance because you guys are all smarter than the rest of us. And so your recommendations go a long way towards financing these things. And most people don't understand any kind of finance, including the people that do finance. I've heard one of our city councilmen in the past say that we need to increase the amount of our indebtedness because it helps our credit rating. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Stephanie Burnham.
Hi, everybody. Stephanie Burnham, 26 Cedar Lane. I just want to echo my running mate Joe DeLucia's sentiment about how crucial the volunteer and paid fire departments are to our community, and the support that we lend to them is essential. But also, in response to the Norwich Bulletin article outlining potential plans to add fire commissions, I would just like to say that it seems at a time when we're really trying to streamline and make government more efficient, adding a layer of government would accomplish the exact opposite. We need to be fostering a more collaborative environment, and the council cannot abdicate its responsibility in this manner. Additional red tape in government is not the path to efficiency. This doesn't even speak to the potential inequities in financing equipment and the potential for these separate commissions to be manipulated for political gain. This is the council's responsibility. They can manage it, and they can do it, and they should. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on non-agenda items? Yes, sir.
Samuel Browning, 671 Scotland Road, Norwich, Connecticut. Forgive me if the Norwich Bulletin has misquoted anyone, because I'm going on the basis of that they have accurately quoted people. Once again, it's a fire issue, and we seem to have two contradictory proposals up in the air. And the first is that we will be obtaining 6 fire trucks, bonding them, and the entire city will be paying them for them over the life of the bond, which is, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years. And that's a shared sacrifice by all the citizens. And then there's another proposal which appeared in the bulletin, which was essentially we're going to split our taxpaying authority into 2 parts, at least when it comes to fire equipment, the city itself and the town. So it seems to me very contradictory that we're in a situation where, okay, we go out, we bond about 3.2 million in fire trucks, they're all for the volunteers, they're the town, and then we immediately after that split both of the whole apart into 2, and then from there on, we have 2 separate entities making decisions on fire equipment. And I think that it's very contradictory. I think that we should have one city, paying for all its fire apparatus, and I think that the two proposals are kind of so in contradiction to each other. I really don't understand how they got put together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on non-agenda items? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Sheila Hayes, 288 Central Avenue. I'm speaking on behalf of the Norwich Rotary Clubs with our Celebrate Community Diversity event. This is our 5th annual Celebrate Cultural Diversity to be held at Howard Brown Park. And at this event, we will be having various food vendors of ethnic food as well as entertainment, performances of local artists. We also have a group that will be coming out of New York this year to perform. We have the tickets on sale. They are on sale. We believe that we have made every attempt to make them family-friendly. They are $10 per person or $30 for a family or a group up to 5. The event will be held on Tuesday, September 19th from 5 to 8 p.m. at Howard Brown Park. Also, the Monday night before, which I know is a council evening planned event already, but from 6 o'clock to about 6:30 at Howard Brown Park, we will be also having the dedication of the peace poles that have various, it's a words of welcoming to the city of Norwich. It will be in over 32 different languages. The Rotary flag is approximately where the former golf putt-putt dock is, and under that will be 4 poles that will have 32 different languages welcoming people to the city of Norwich. I'm sure an invitation will be extended to the mayor and pro tem and the full city council. You are welcome to attend. And my last plug is for the Ellis Walter Rulli Committee. We will be having the opening of the Ellis Rulli art exhibit, An Artist at Heart, inspired by Ellis Rulli. It is paintings of students from the college through the elementary school, Waquanic Art and Magnet School, as well as the Integrated Day Charter School and one of our homeschool associations. Their artwork will be on display throughout the month of September. The gallery is open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. For Monday through Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak on non-agenda items? Anyone else wishing to speak on non-agenda items? Yes, sir?
My name's John Blackburn, 15 Alice Street. I'd like to speak about the Tribute to America ceremony that we had August 4th. Well, for one thing, I don't think it was advertised correctly, but I'm going to tell you how it started. It's 37 years ago. Mary Bourne, she was the president of the Ladies Auxiliary. Since then, we don't have a ladies auxiliary or a men's auxiliary. It's auxiliary, period. So that's the way that is. National didn't want 2 separate auxiliaries. That's why it's just auxiliary. And what it is, it's tribute to America. It's honoring active duty military, retired military, veterans, and the emergency services, which includes police, fire departments, and ambulance company, if they want to come to it. Well, it was a pretty good ceremony. There was a few glitches. My master of ceremonies, our master of ceremonies, well, there was supposed to be another guy doing it. He ended up forgetting that he had a vacation schedule. He helped do the program, and John Wagner got stuck doing the master of ceremonies. So, needless to say, I offered to help by leading the color guards for Post 594. Well, I ended up placing them in line to march, also leading them and placing them on the other end. And I decided, we had city officials, they were starting to line up in the back. I said, oh no, you're not going to do that. You're going to come up in front with us, and we are going to lead the procession. That was my decision. Because what I was told is, Paul Boyer, which is the 93-year-old Army Air Corps vet, and myself, a Vietnam vet, I did not want him out there by himself. He did good. Except when I placed the color guard on the right, he figured, oh, that was his side. So I did my side. So I took the rest, so
Thank you, sir.
you're welcome.
We thank you for all your hard work. Anyone else wishing to speak on non-agenda items? Anyone else wishing to speak on non-agenda items? Anyone else wishing to speak on non-agenda items? I thank you all very much for your comments, and we will move on.
Petition and communication, number 1, letter of resignation from Michael Calkins from the Gulf Coast Authority.
Motion and a second to accept this letter. Alderman Braddock, Alderwoman Gould. I want to thank Mr. Calkins for the time that he spent. All those in favor? And that's unanimous.
City Manager's report.
Thank you. This is the City Manager's report for August 21st, 2017. The Mayor and I continue our weekly meetings. On August 8th, staff and I met regarding the Read and Use contract update. Betsy Crum for the Women's Institute and their attorney met with the zoning office regarding the variances needed for their proposal. They have an application and were made aware of the dates to apply to the Zoning Board of Appeals to be included on the September agenda. Josh Pothier and I met with Abby Dolliver, Superintendent of Norwich Public Schools, regarding budget updates. Evan Blum, the buyer of the former Atlantic Packing Company, stopped by to discuss his plans for the property he purchased at auction. I am trying to schedule another meeting with him and staff to further discuss his plans. On Thursday, August 10th, I was on the Stu Breyer show at the WICH studio. I met with John Wong and the owner of the bus company regarding their proposed shuttle service for the Intermodal Transportation Center. I participated via conference call for the SEAT special meeting to ratify the proposed labor contract. On Tuesday, August 15th, I met with a Laurel Hill resident regarding the condition of sidewalks in that neighborhood. I have received a letter from the State of Connecticut Commissioner of Revenue Services advising that the 7 Neighborhood Assistance Act proposals have been approved for inclusion in this year's NAA program. The Montessori School, Society of the Founders of Norwich, the ARC of New London County, and the Norwich Historical Society were awarded 100% tax credit, and the Connecticut Radio Information System was awarded a 60% tax credit. My assistant notified the applicants by mail of their approvals. On Friday, August 18th, the promotion ceremony was held for the following officers. Sergeant Jonathan Lay, Sergeant John Perry were promoted to lieutenant, and then Detective Harrison Formiglio and Canine Officer Nicholas Rankin to sergeant. Congratulations to them, and thank you for your service to the community. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Does anyone have any questions for the city manager? Yes?
Yes, has Mr. Bloom indicated to you at all what he plans to do with that property?
Well, just in a casual conversation with me, it wasn't official, but he runs a, for lack of a better word, reusing old pieces of furniture or buildings, things like that, and he wants to bring those pieces to Norwich, and in which they would become for sale. He has a similar business in Middletown, and it has a web page that describes it. That's kind of it in little general terms.
Anyone else for the city manager? Yes, sir.
Back to, is that called warehousing?
It might be.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Citizen comment on resolutions.
This is your time to give us your thoughts on the resolutions on the agenda. Again, I will ask you to state clearly your name and address. If you are not living in the city and you are working in the city, please so indicate both your home address as well as your business address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And we have a few people who signed up. We'll start with them, and then we'll get to everybody else. Dale Plummer.
Dale Plummer, 25 Broadway, Norwich. I'm the president of Norwich Heritage Trust. We are asking the council to approve the agreement for stabilization and rehabilitation of the Reed and Hughes building by the Women's Institute. This agreement is the result of a process involving city officials, state officials, the Women's Institute, historic preservationists. It will bring a significant historic building back into use, contribute tax dollars and utility dollars to the city, and result in more activity downtown. And I think it will also encourage further development. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Michael Carroll.
How you doing? Name's Michael Carroll, 172 Washington Street.
Can you just lift the microphone up a little bit for you? Thank
Michael Carroll, 172 Washington Street. I'm the secretary for the Norwich Heritage Trust. I second what Dale had spoke to. I also agree that with Norwich being the historic, the rows, we can't allow these buildings to just be ripped down and vacant lots to be left behind. We need to preserve them, we need to reuse them, repurpose them, and doing so with the Reed and Hughes building brings a lot of tax credits, much like Dale was just mentioning, versus none at all. And I think that would be the biggest travesty, is to let it go and have nothing to show for it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Susan Massey.
Susan Massey, 1 Sachem Terrace. I read both the Bulletin and the Day, and I'm especially interested in the comments that people write, especially when they're talking about Norwich. And you probably know there's kind of a steady stream of naysayers about Norwich, but lately I've been noticing just a little whiff of positivity coming forward. And I think it's because of some good things that are happening. The developer who bought 3 buildings on Lower Broadway, and while we even have a roaster coming in. So it's kind of exciting, and I think people feel it. So we're not moving like a ball of fire, but that ball is rolling. And so I encourage you to approve the proposal by Betsy Crum. I also wanted to mention that Dan Topalis, who runs the gallery at the Warrigan, he couldn't be here tonight, but he wanted me to express his opinion that he is in favor also of accepting the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Irene. I couldn't quite get the whole name.
Irene Scheinberg, 12 Jones Court. I also am here in favor of the resolution.
Put the mic a little closer to you.
Oh, he was tall. The resolution being approved for the stabilization and the redevelopment of the Reed and Hughes building. I find it exciting to have more foot traffic in downtown Norwich, and I believe that's what this will happen with people moving in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on the agenda items tonight? Anyone else wishing to speak concerning the items on the agenda? Anyone else wishing to speak on the agenda items? Hearing none, this hearing is closed. Thank you all very much.
Resolution 1, relative to reappointment to the Historic District Commission.
A motion and a second, please. Alderwoman Philbrook, Alderman Braddock. Is there discussion? This is a reappointment as a regular member. Nancy O'Neill. All those in favor? And that's unanimous.
Number 2, relative to City Manager Solomon, be and hereby authorized and directed to issue an RFP seeking proposals for 80 and 68 Broadway.
Is there a motion and second, please? Alderman Nash, Alderman Martin. Is there discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor? Oh, hold on.
You may have to put a date in there right now. There's a blank in the document as to when you want the report to come back.
What is the pleasure of the council?
May I suggest October 20th?
That's a good date.
Is that a good? Okay. We'll fill in October 20th.
Motion to add October.
A motion and a second to amend. Alderman Gould, Alderman Braddock. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's October 20th. Now, all in favor?
Aye.
And that's unanimous. I did.
Number 3, relative to enter into a development agreement for 66th Street.
A motion and a second, please. Alderman Braddock, Alderwoman Gould. Is there a discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor? And that's unanimous.
Number 4, relative to the acquisition of 364 Scotland Road as land for open space.
Motion and a second, please. Alderman Braddock, Alderwoman Philbrick. Is there discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Number 5, relative to City Manager Solomon executing and delivering a deed of conveyance for property known as 15 Park Street.
A motion and a second, please. Alderman Martin, Alderman Nash. Is there discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
And that's unanimous.
Number 6, relative to City Manager Solomon entering into a stabilization and redevelopment agreement with the Women's Institute Realty of Connecticut, Inc. for 193 through 201 Main Street, Reedon Hughes.
A motion and a second, please. Alderman Nash, Alderman Gould. Is there discussion? Yes, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, I want to thank the mayor and the other sponsor, Alderman Stacey Gould, for helping to bring this issue forward. This has not been an easy situation for the city. It's been hopefully a long time coming with the kind of resolution we want, which is a rehabilitated building, a new taxpayer back actively downtown, and people living there and frequenting the businesses down there who desperately need residents in the downtown to help downtown come back. So again, I want to thank those who co-sponsored this event and thank all the city employees and departments who have worked on this issue because this has not been an easy issue. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. I noticed, Alderman Nystrom, that you are one of the sponsors. And as I recall, 5 years ago, you were one of the ones who voted it down when we did have an opportunity. And just curious of the turnabout. Thank you.
Would you like to reply?
Thank you.
To me?
Second time, please. The alderman who just spoke is correct. That proposal was different. That proposal would have left development in a non-taxable situation like the O'Regan Hotel, and our grand list needs growth. One of the things that is very, very important to note is that the Women's Institute comes to Norwich with a great track record of development, and this development proposal they brought forth to us is one that provides the property be a taxpayer here in the city of Norwich, which supports every other taxpayer in the city of Norwich. And so that's why there's a change, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's your second time, but please direct your comments in general, not to each other. Thank you.
Then I'll pass. Thank you.
Okay? That was pretty easy. Yes?
Okay, just so I'm clear, the Women's Institute is not a nonprofit organization.
Well, they have certain properties that are not-for-profit, but not all.
So the Read and Use will not be a nonprofit entity?
There's nothing in the agreement that states that they would be nonprofit.
So does that mean that because there's nothing in the agreement that states they're not a nonprofit, that the possibility exists that they could be a nonprofit?
I don't believe that that's the case on this.
Okay, I guess time will tell.
Anyone further? Hearing no further, those in favor? And that would be unanimous.
Number 7, relative to extending the delay in hiring of certain positions and postponement of layoff of employees funded by the general fund until October 1st, 2017.
A motion and a second, please. Alderman Braddock, Alderman Martin. Is there discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
And that's unanimous.
Number 8, relative to developing an RFP for 19 North Cliff Street.
A motion and a second, please. Alderman Gould and Alderman Martin. Is there discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
And that would be unanimous. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
And that would be Mr. Martin seconding. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that would be unanimous. Thank you all very much.